Welcome to the Art of Gardening. Thanks for tuning in. I think you are going to be very interested in what we're going to be talking about tonight. We've got a special guest, and we're going to be talking about hydroponics. It's very cool, and the latest information, the latest technologies and stuff. So we'll get into that. But first, before we get started, I wanted to talk about a couple of plants that I brought in for you to see, just because it's the time of year. A lot of things are blooming and that kind of thing. So first, I'm going to show you this. This is a cassia. Look at, man, that looks great in HD, doesn't it? This is Cassia artemisioides, and I've brought it in a few times before, but I love this plant because the flowers are just eye-popping yellow, and the foliage is gray, green, you know, and it's very feathery, very light foliage. It can be thicker than this. This is a pretty open one. I think it's been in a little bit too much shade, but they get real billowy and fluffy looking, and they love our climate. These things grow really well, like in Phoenix and desert areas like that, and it's just a dynamic plant. Very tough once it's established. The only thing they'll get is if you just really kept it wet all the time. That wouldn't be too good for it, and the really hard freezes can burn, you know, back 3-4 inches at the tip. But otherwise, isn't that the coolest plant? I just love that plant. So anyways, look for that, Cassia artemisioides. It's called artemisioides because it looks like an artemisia a little bit, that grayish foliage. All right, then I brought a couple of columbines out here. And you can see this one's a very tall flowering variety. These are hybrids. I don't have their specific names. Maybe we can get a close-up of those flowers. This is a really gorgeous, delicate plant, Aquilegia, and they have all different colors and mixtures of colors. This one's nice because it's actually a fairly solid color. And let me show you this other one here to give you an idea of what some of the other ones look like. This guy, I'm going to pull this back. You see this one, the flower stalks don't stick up very far out of the foliage. They're a little bit shorter, and that is a mixture of color, a little bit more mix. And some of them are even more dramatic mixtures than this kind of this is a little bit what burgundy pink with white, and then the yellow from the stamen. So now these, if you plant these are going to need some protection from the hottest sun. They like kind of a semi-shade area with plenty of moisture. So they're actually kind of the opposite end of the spectrum from the cassia that I brought in. But thought I'd show those to you because they're blooming and it's a good time of year for them. Now, we've got to get to our guest. So come on in here, Troy, and watch out for the wires. Yeah, all right.
Hey, how's it going?
Troy Kromberg with a higher yield.
Yeah,
right?
That's correct.
And a higher yield is your business, and you do hydroponics. And hydroponics means what, Troy?
Well, hydroponics is actually two words from the Greek language, hydro meaning water and ponics meaning labor. So it's literally working water. So that's cool. Kind of where the basics and the word came from way back in the day. Started way back thousands of years ago with the hanging gardens of Babylon and other situations with floating gardens of China. So that's kind of where it got started. But it got really popular back in the day with in the 1950s with scientists. They decided to totally remove soil out of the mix, and what's literally the soilless gardening that we deal with today. It's been pushed forward to the technology that we use today in the 2000s.
Yeah, I've heard about it for a long time, and you know, you get the image of big tanks with plants sitting in them. In fact, I've seen that kind of hydroponics, but I know that there are a variety. Can you give us a little bit of the development kind of?
Yeah, well, the one you were just specifically talking about was called aquaponics, and there's actually situations where they grow fish right underneath the plants. So that gives you an entire ecosystem. The plants create the natural nutrients that's needed for the plant. They create an uptake. It goes right into the bottom. It usually works well with leafy greens like lettuce, and they use a lot of times fish like tilapia. Those are the two marriages that really work well.
The fish support the plants, and then you can eat the fish and eat the plants.
That's exactly right. So it's the total ecosystem and the symbiosis, they all work together. So that's one type of it, and that's real cutting edge and coming to be right now. It's getting more popular. Another two types that there are, there's many more than that. Two that I'm going to highlight today are aeroponic technology, which is also fairly new, and another one that's real popular called deep water culture technology. So those are the two that we have right here. I've got a couple of different samples. This is an aeroponic chamber right here, and what that means to the layman is that this is literally suspended in a situation like this. There's absolutely no medium whatsoever. And this is a pineapple sage right here.
Right.
And I took these cuttings about 2 weeks ago. And these cuttings right here are all from one plant. And now I have 6 plants from a little $2 plant from Walmart. And I can take these now and grow them out like this, or I can put them in the ground in my herb garden and just kind of take them to whatever level I want them to be, just depending on how I want to do it.
Now this, did you put any rooting hormone or anything?
Yeah, the one I particularly use is a product called Clonex, but any of the rooting hormones, Rutone, or anything like that work. In an aeroponic chamber, the cloning gels work better because they stick a little better.
Yeah, because it's constantly in
that's
contact
exactly
with the
right.
water.
The powders will kind of wash off, and it takes away the acid that you need to create those roots.
So a gel. Okay.
It's available in most of your local hydroponic stores.
Man, that thing went crazy.
Yeah, like I said, these little guys were small 2-3 inch cuttings, and they've grown like this. All of this was grown under a 100-watt fluorescent fixture. Pop this one in. So this is, pull it right on out. That's a lemon balm right there.
Look at the length of the roots on that one.
Yeah, same
compared
thing.
to the other
So
one.
again,
That's
that is
pretty cool.
only a 2-week-old cut right there, and this can be, again, put out into your herb garden, or you can actually have something like this sitting in your kitchen in a corner.
Wow.
Anything like that, and you can have quite a number of different plants in this particular unit.
I wonder how it feels about me touching it like that.
Oh,
It's kind of personal.
yeah. Well, plants are a loving thing, so
That's true.
Maybe it'll love you back. Good deal. Same thing here. One thing between the two. This is back in the corner here. This is a
camera over here.
deep water culture system, and what it is we've got baskets, and these have rock right here. I'll just pull that guy out right there. These have rock in them, and this is like an expanded coral made almost like lava. It has a lot of air pores in it.
Oh, here, let me
and
get that up. There we go.
You can grow right inside that. And this particular unit here next to the other one were planted the same time, the peppers, and you can see aeroponically, even over deep water, these are growing faster, and they were growing side by side. So they were planted on the same day. These in a deep water culture system, which is still growing fast, but aeroponically, they're substantially faster.
Let me show here. We got some, I don't know if you can get that, Shirley. Let me get it up here. Right here at the end of my finger. I don't know if it'll show up against the
There's some more roots on this one.
Yeah, you can see the roots on there. There you go. So you got some roots popping out of the side already, but they aren't growing as fast.
Yeah, so this is still an excellent system, and the nice thing about this over this is you get faster growth with the aeroponics, but there's more buffer here. The problem with aeroponics, as you look at it, is there is no medium, not even rock. It's literally just water being sprayed. So if your pump goes out, or if you have pH issues or anything like that, you have to be a lot more dialed in with an aeroponic system, because again,
if it goes down, there's nothing in.
Exactly.
They could go. Whereas this one, if it goes down, you've got moist rocks still.
That's exactly
You've got
right.
roots kind of tapped into these
exactly right.
the porous rocks, and you're not. Is there any difference in, because of the fact that you've got structure here for like holding the plant up or anything like that?
That's exactly right. So as you get into a bigger plant, this is also a little more beneficial in that respect, because you do have mass to hold the plant.
Because the roots in the ground, the roots, one of their
Exactly.
jobs is to hold the thing upright.
That's exactly
and
right.
so you get that here, whereas in water, it's just...
That's exactly right. So
Right.
there, as that plant gets larger, they have the potential to